Everybody watching who it is and what it is you
Yes,
do.
I'm Alistair and I've supported Julian since the very beginning, 14 years ago, when they started to pursue him for the WikiLeaks publications. And I felt very, very strongly that we have the right to know, and that Julian was a publisher, as was the New York Times and the Washington Post and many other newspapers, The Guardian in this country. And the falsehood that the American prosecutors are trying to persuade us of is that he somehow conspired with Chelsea Manning to hack, which is the only argument they can possibly bring up to separate him from the other major newspapers worldwide that also published exactly the same materials over the period of 6 months. 6 weeks rather. Let's not forget that The Guardian had massive readership for 6 consecutive weeks every single day because of WikiLeaks revelations, and that we've consumed all that media, and at the huge personal cost to Julian, who provided us with that material. It's absolutely crucial that we understand what governments are doing, and if they're committing crimes in our name, we need to know. And the idea that secrecy is somehow a government prerogative has no case in a democracy. It doesn't apply in a democracy. We need to be able to know what's going on for us to be able to exercise our rights and to make informed decisions about who we vote for.
100%. So what happened yesterday? You've got any thoughts on how things went yesterday? It doesn't sound as if it went too well.
I think it went very well. I think the court listened again, and perhaps with more attention this time, to the statements that Mike Pompeo made that he wanted Assange to be assassinated, and then the conspiracy of the CIA to kidnap him out of the Ecuadorian embassy, and the actual events of eavesdropping and surveillance in the embassy illegally, recording his privileged conversations with his lawyer and with his family and other friends and guests. Totally illegal. As was pointed out yesterday, any of those 3 things in a normal judicial process would have rendered the judicial process vacant. Right. It's impossible to proceed with a prosecution by a country that's plotted to kill someone, or actually eavesdropped on their private conversations and plotted to kidnap them out of a sovereign territory of Ecuador. It would never survive in a normal judicial system. So our judicial system, to its shame, has been bent and manipulated to come out with the outcome that the Americans want.
Okay, right. So what happens today then? Obviously today is the second and final day of this particular hearing. What does today mean?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The arguments that they're putting forward in more detail are conclusive and backed up with evidence and verifiable. And so, as I was saying, any normal court would reject this application for asylum based on the previous behavior of the American government. Right.
Should we be concerned then that declassified reported yesterday that one of the judges has had a long history of closeness with the MI6?
We should be very concerned about that. I mean, it's a typical British strategy, is you choose the judge for the outcome that you want if you're the government. And, it's all just very clubby and very elitist and very kind of, small plutocracy that goes on. And it's a bit of a nod and a wink. And it's profoundly corrupt. Yeah. It's profoundly corrupt for a government to influence the decisions of a judiciary that's meant to be independent. In this country, it's just a joke. Right. It's just a joke. The judiciary will do what it's told.
Which is exactly why we need people like Julian Assange to keep us informed.
It's exactly why we need Julian, more than ever, as we slip into a sort of autocracy where the media and the judicial system and the government and corporate interests are all merged together in a huge sort of melting pot of corruption. We need to break through. None of this serves the people. None of this incestuous relationship between these 4 groups of people serve people at all. Exactly the opposite. It's a conspiracy against people to lodge power in fewer and fewer hands. And the media's been bought off. It's totally compliant in this country. I mean, we talk about the freedom of speech being limited in Russia and China, but we're exactly the same. We've got a journalist in jail. We've got absolutely nothing to say to any country worldwide. Exactly.
Well, Alistair, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we'll see what happens now throughout this.